Tonight, organized labor braces for a showdown with government over decision by SNIT to sell off 60% stake in 4 top hotels to a Greek minister's firm.
For us, it smacks of state capture, and that should be stopped, and stopped immediately. And if the Minister for Pensions failed to stop SNIT, we workers of Ghana, we own the funds. We will stop that process.
Details as a union say they disagree with SNIT's assessment that Rock City Hotel, owned by their Greek minister, submitted the strongest financial proposal.
We don't agree with that assertion. We think proper due diligence was not done. And we, as the major stakeholders for pension funds, we must not sit idle. And I repeat, our pension funds are used for Chaskini.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Organized labor, led by the Trade Union Congress (TUC), is tonight bracing itself for a showdown with government. The state-run Social Security and National Insurance Trust SNIT has agreed to sell off 60% stake in 4 top hotels to Rock City Hotel, a facility owned by their Greek minister Brian Champon. Tonight, organized labor has given government a choice: stop the transaction now, or we will stop it for you. Now, SNIT in a statement denied any foul play in its decision to sell the stake to their Greek minister's firm, arguing Rock City submitted the best and strongest financial proposal out of 6 shortlisted entities. But the workers have rejected that. Now, the North Tongue MP, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who was the first to raise the issue, is confident that his petition to Shraj will be thoroughly investigated.
We find it difficult to understand why the original proposer of the sale of SNIT's interest in 6 hotels has now reduced to 4. We hold the view that this renders the whole process null and void. And 3, we find it difficult to understand why the proposed payment terms varied from the original MOU based on the recommendations of the transaction advisor. We also find it difficult to understand why SNIT's interest in these hotels should be sold to a company owned by a minister of state. We do not think that this is right. The process was flawed. Our reps on SNIT board were very clear in their demand that for a number of reasons, the process be halted. But from all indications, it appears the process is going on. And in fact, they are even speeding it up. And we don't think that is right. We do not think that the regulations that guide the sale of state assets were followed. We do not think that the necessary due diligence was done. We cannot imagine that state properties will be sold to a minister of state. For us, it smacks of state capture, and that should be stopped, and stopped immediately. And if the Minister for Pensions, who is also Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, failed to stop SNIT, we workers of Ghana, we own the funds. We will stop that process.
And that there is Dr. Yabon. He is the Secretary General of the TUC at the news conference today. Papania Shale just returned from that particular news conference and is in the studio with me. Just as you were returning, we got a notice from Shraj because Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, as I mentioned, had gone to Shraj already with a petition on the subject.
Yes, Evan. So this is dated today and addressed to Okudzeto-Ablakwa. It says that, well, I write in acknowledgement of your complaint brought before the Commission dated 16th May 2024 to respectfully inform you that the Commission will revert to you in due course. Yours sincerely, signed by the Principal Registrar.
So Shraj acknowledging receipt of that particular petition, but the workers are waiting, as we just heard there from the Secretary General of the TUC, Dr. Yalba. They want this stopped, and they want it stopped immediately, or else they themselves will stop it for the government. They are targeting their demand at the the minister responsible for pensions and employment as well. Today, they spelled out clearly, did they not?
Yes, they did that. So, two individuals, the minister responsible for employment, and then to the board of SNIT in itself. And then finally, there's an appeal also to President Akufo-Addo to also give them a hearing where they are asking that all these entities should make sure that this deal is halted once and for all.
Organized labor, therefore, demands that the process of the sale of SNIT's interest in the hotels be cancelled immediately. We are also calling on the Minister for Employment, Labor Relations, who is also responsible for pensions, to direct the Board of Trustees of SNIT to cancel the process immediately. Otherwise, we will advise ourselves.
And it's important to know that SNIT itself has issued a statement on this particular subject, clarifying what has happened so far. And if you haven't seen that, I need to go through that for you, because the workers had something to say about SNIT's own conclusions on the back of what they told that they've done as part of finalizing this process to sell off the stake. They've gone through this process all the way from November 2018, when the trust commenced a process with engagement of a transactional advisor. And then they come to 2022, where then they now open the process up for interested companies to bid. Now, SNIT tells us that a total of 9 companies responded to the advertisement by submitting proposals on the 23rd March 2022 deadline. 6 out of the 9 were shortlisted and issued with requests for proposal documents. Now, the qualifying firms were invited for the opening of their financial proposals based on the technical and financial evaluation. The Rock City Hotel emerged the best. Now, that is the hotel owned by the Agric Minister, Brian Champon. And so this is his conclusion that Rock City, out of the 6, emerged the best. They did not tell us how they came to that conclusion that Rock City was the best. But they go on to tell us that based on the criteria set out in the RFP, Rock City Hotel submitted the best and strongest technical and financial proposal among those received. What that exactly is, we don't know. What are the specifics of that? We don't know. And that's a question that Samuel Kudeta Blakwa has been asking. They also say that because of that, it is in negotiations currently with SNIT to buy the 60% stake in each of the 4 hotels. The hotels are important. These are top hotels, you know. Labadi Beach Hotel, the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, the Ridge Royal Hotel, and Elmina Beach Resort. Now, bids for the Buzia Beach Resort and the Trust Lodge were considered to be unsuccessful, so they are no longer part of the hotels covered in this process. Now, the workers today, Papa, object to this conclusion.
Yes, Evans. And they started from the number of hotels that were involved in this particular deal. First started from 6, and as you ended the statement with 2 have been removed from that process. They say that that is questionable. Again, they come to the point, and this is being said by the Executive Secretary of CLOCSAG, Dr. Isaac Bampoado, who says that they don't believe due diligence was done, and the assessment or what is being said by SNIT is anything to go by. If for anything at all, they want the deal cancelled. There's a threat from them that if that is not done, they will hit the streets and the entire country will feel it.
These funds are not government funds. These funds are pension funds. And pensions are guarded by the Act 766. We have investment guidelines under Act 766. And clearly, these guidelines have not been followed. Government should be aware that we will not allow them to play chaskeli with our funds. Should they dare go ahead, it will be the mother of all strikes in Ghana. But outline our issues in our statement. We don't agree with that assertion. We think proper due diligence was not done. And we, as the major stakeholders for pension funds, we must not sit idle. And I repeat, our pension funds are used for chaskeli. We will not allow it. We are not happy with the due diligence that was done. And that's why we are calling that it should be cancelled immediately.
Well, in the last few moments, we're just learning that organized labor have now sent a petition to the chief of staff, to the president himself, on the list of issues that we've just heard them articulate at the press conference. I have a copy of this particular petition. I want to go through that for you because this is just coming in on the back of that press conference they just finished at their headquarters. They say that at a meeting held today, the workers' representatives on the board of trustees of SNIT go on to say they briefed the top leadership of organized labor about the proposed sale of 60% of SNIT's interest in some hotels. Now, the workers' representatives informed the leadership that they had collectively raised objections to the process and had advised that the process be all halted. In fact, if you look at the SNIT board, there are 3 reps from organized labor on it, and those are individuals that have been referenced here. They've briefed the leadership of organized labor. Now, we find it extremely difficult to understand why, one, SNIT's interest in 6 hotels will be packaged and sold as if all the hotels are in the same financial situation. 2, the original proposal of the sale of SNIT's interest in 6 hotels has now reduced to 4. We hold the view that this renders the whole process null and void. 3, the proposed payment terms varied from the original MOU based on the recommendation of the transaction advisor. We also find it difficult to understand why SNIT's interest in these hotels should be sold to a company owned by a minister of state who do not think who may think that this is as of right. They go on to say that organized labor therefore demands that the process of the sale of SNIT's interest in the hotels be cancelled immediately, and this is reiterating the things we've just heard them say in that press conference. And this is signed by the Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, Dr. Yalba, and this, by the way, is addressed to the Chief of Staff Office of the President's Jubilee House, the Honorable Minister for Employment, Labor Relations and Pensions, and Chairperson of the Board of Trustees at SNIT. And the Director General of SNIT as well. And this is organized labor beyond the press conference, writing to the Office of the Chief of Staff, demanding that that process to sell off 60% stake in these 4 hotels to the Rock City Hotel, which is owned by the Agric Minister, is halted immediately. Okay, so if you pay attention to the SNIT statement, they claim that Rock City Hotel, which is owned by the Agric Minister, emerged the best in terms of the proposals that they considered. Okay, so what do we know about Rock City?
Well, Evan, so Rock City is a hotel, just like you said, has been, in partial operation since 2019. 2019 was when Rock City started, partial operation, although the construction work began in 2008. So technically, Rock City has been in business for roughly 5 years. Now, this may be why they still had a window of opportunity to be part of the bidders, although the first deadline was January 2019. So remember, the first window was opened in 2019, and then in 2022, there was a different window that was open.
But let's clarify. The window that was open in 2019 had specifically to do with transaction advisor.
Absolutely.
So that was quite different from actually getting companies with the gravitas to put in bids.
But according to SNIT, the first deadline was in January 2019, and that was when they selected the first 15 companies that had expressed interest in submitting their bids. Now, of these, 6 were shortlisted and issued with requests for proposal documents. So,
and these all relate to the transaction advisors.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you come down to 2022, that's where they began the actual process of getting companies in, like Rock City and others, who should express interest in actually taking up the stake that was available.
So it was a second window of opportunity that Rock City took advantage of and was part of this. That was 2022, just like you said. So Rock City technically has been in operation since 2019. But in 2022, they were part of the companies that bid for, to hold that stake in SNIT hotels.
Okay, and so the key question that we're asking tonight is fundamentally Rock City 2019 started operations. In 2022, they were 3 years old?
So yeah, 3 years old in 2022, but technically now they're about 5
Okay,
years into the operations.
but of course, as at the time that they submitted the bid, at the time that they were reviewing this process, they were 3 years old. The key
roughly.
the key question that many have asked tonight on the back of that is that which other firms also submitted bids, right? Because this, from what the document that we have, that in fact that the Senate itself put out, they wanted they really want world class
Yes.
operators who know the field to participate. In fact, the advertisement was also published in the Economist magazine on the 26th February 2022. And that's where they had a total of 9 companies responded to the advertisement by submitting their proposals on the 23rd of March deadline. 6 out of the 9 were then shortlisted and then issued with a request for proposal documents. And the key question then becomes, considering that this was in the Economist magazine, did they also have interested companies from abroad with far more experience? And who were these companies, for example? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, but we know that out of that publication, we had 9 companies, which 6 were shortlisted. So the key question is, were there international organization and multinational organization part of this shortlisted companies that Rock City emerged as the best, according to SNIT?
And that's just a brief on what we know about Rock City. And I want to quickly expand this conversation a bit more. Vitus Azim is the anti-corruption crusader, joins us right now because, as you may know, a part of this has gone to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. Samuel Kudeta Blauka filed that. His case is anchored on a case of potential conflict of interest. Listen to him.
If you look at the statements Smith has put up, they do not respond to the fundamental issues. The crux of the matter is totally avoided. Smith is engaged in avoidance. I have raised the fundamental issue of conflict of interest. So the Honorable Brad Champon should have been nowhere near this transaction. Smith has not addressed that fundamental issue. Smith fails to address the issue of how Rock City was selected. You cannot just claim that Rock City presented the best financial and technical proposal. Where is the evidence? Smith does not provide the evidence. If you look at their own statement, they say that they started this procurement process in November 2018, 14 November 2018. Rock City's operations a year after, November 2019. The procurement violations, the cronyism, the graft, the insider dealing. I am happy that all of these matters are going to be delved into.
Vitus Azim is anti-corruption crusader, used to be the head of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Abdullah Mashoud is a pensions expert, joins us on the line also with his thoughts on this. Vitus, do you see a potential conflict of interest matter at stake here in this issue that we've been talking about?
Yes, I think there is a potential conflict of interest because, you see, this is a politically exposed person. He's in a position to take decisions. But even the fact is that when you set up a company with the funds of workers and you are going to sell it out, you must first give an opportunity to the workers. The ordinary workers could have bought these small shares so that they will have a stake in the running of the hotels. But now you hand over 60% of all this. So you are more or less relinquishing your power to manage, because 60% is more than half of the ownership of these 6 hotels. Besides, Rock City, I think, was 1 hotel. Now, all of a sudden, it is in a position to take over 6 more hotels than ours. We haven't even seen the cost of the sale to him or the transaction, which is a headache. It's a worry because we don't know how much they're selling it. And those are the issues of conflict of interest. You are in government, you are in a position to take decisions, and you are the one going in to buy this company or these hotels. So definitely you cannot be sure that there can be various underhand negotiations that ended up just saying, let's hand over to him. And that's where the issues are. But secondly, is Rock City properly registered with the Register General Department? Is it properly registered with Ghana Revenue Authority? Do we have a tax file? Have they been paying taxes? Has Bright Champon properly obtained permission from Parliament to run a hotel business? Has he declared Rock City as an asset in the asset declaration. So this has given rise to several more questions that will come up.
If he's done all the questions, if he answered all the questions you just posed, is he in the clear?
No, I'm still worried about the cost of the transaction, which is the most important part. Because, you see, because of his position, if the transaction would have cost less than 100 million, they might give it to him for 50 million. Because of his position as a key person in the ruling party. You see, and that is a worry. He was in the presidency, he was in the Jubilee House before being made Minister of State, a Minister in charge of Agriculture. So when you're in the Jubilee House and Senate management is appointed by the president, you easily can influence whatever happens at Senate. And of course, recently there were changes, the removal of the managing director and all that. So those are things that are of concern to us.
Yeah, it's a concern to
workers
you.
And pensioners.
Yeah, it's a concern to you, but Snitch says they evaluated the proposals that everybody submitted, 6 companies in total, and Rock City emerged the best. And it emerged the best because the criteria was they were looking for somebody who had the strongest technical and financial proposal. And they say Rock City had that. If that is indeed the case, then regardless of his political affiliations and whether or not he's a minister, you give it to him, don't you?
Have you, as a journalist, seen the documents, the tender documents? We haven't seen those. It's not in the public domain. You see, so that's what I said. Even the cost of the transaction, we don't know. And that his position as a minister could have influenced not only the decision to give the hotels to him, but also the amount that he was expected to pay. There have been cases in the past where you buy these assets and you don't pay fully. You just make a deposit and you take over and you're running and then taking money from there to pay. So these are the things that journalists should look into. How much was the sale? Has it been paid fully? What are the terms of the sale and our terms of payment? And we are saying that because of his position as a Minister of State, he can influence these things. And that's where there's a concern.
Also joining me is Abdullahi Mashoud, is a pensions expert. Abdullahi, you've seen this statement. They simply wanted a strategic investor. You've been analyzing SNIT's performance over the years. Do they really need this?
Hello. Good evening, Evans, and good evening to our listeners. Well, the chemistry of Social Security administration and governance around the world. Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Great. I'm saying the chemistry of Social Security administration and governance around the world is changing. And it's about time the stakeholders, for instance, organized labor, have observed that they are always being reactive instead of being proactive. The dynamics are changing, and they represent the entire labor force in the country. I think it's about time about the way we operate as far as Social Security administration and governance is concerned. Yes, I have seen Senate respond to the Honorable Abrako's query on the sale of hotels to an individual. Senate in their response got to indicate that they do not violate any procurement procedure. But that is not the focus in the case of Social Security administration. When we are looking at Social Security administration, especially if you bring in the objectives that they stated, efficiency and sustainability, satisfying procurement procedures is not coming in at all. Clearly, I'm not sure what Shiraj will be investigating. Are they investigating possible breaches in the procurement process, or looking for conflict of interest situation, or seeking to establish if the transaction met best practices in Social Security administration?
And that is what I'm asking you. They say they wanted a strategic investor. You look at SNIT's performance. We've done a show on this where you analyzed it over the years. Do they really need this?
Clearly, they don't need that. We have to go back to the state of those hotels in question. We have to ask the question of how they were performing. We have been looking at the figures. And if you look at Labadi Beach and the hotel at Cape Coast, you realize that they declared very good returns last year. I'm still checking on the other two hotels. But if you look at on the surface of it, you realize that we didn't need this one at all, especially if you bring in their performance over the years. Look, the case on hand is not about satisfying procurement procedure, but largely has to do with how the sale or the transaction will translate into optimal returns in a safe way and contributing to the broader growth of the economy. Before I go on, let me frankly say that to assess the prudence of the action taken by the trust will need some technical help in the circumstance. For instance, like I said, we need to look at the performance of those hotels before. Clearly, from where I stand and looking at the figures that I'm seeing about their performance, I'm not sure we needed something like this. For efficiency, stakeholders have to broadly look at the investment function of the trust. One thing I can boldly say is that stakeholders are sleeping on most of the important issues on social security administration and governance. Best practices in divesting major investment of public pension systems, I can tell you that this will not pass the test.
And Vitus, so what do you want to see on this particular subject? The workers say they want this cancelled immediately. You share that view?
I definitely share that view. The transaction should be cancelled because it's not necessary. It's shrouded with secrecy and some suspicions of potential conflict of interest and all that. And so I don't think it's necessary.
Thank you very much. That is Vitus Azim there. Is anti-corruption crusader, is a former head of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Abdullah Mashoud is a pensions expert. And Kofeji is still with me. Many would have heard the name Rock City because it's become part of now of this controversy. That is the hotel owned by Bright Champon, who is a great minister. What is his pedigree, though, when it comes to what it does as a hotel? And that is it really in a position to manage 4 top hotels, including Labadi Beach Hotel? What do we know about Rock City?
Well, so definitely Rock City is not in Accra, but it's in Kwewu, in Kwetia, in the eastern region. Now, according to them, they call themselves the Luxury Haven, with currently about 600 rooms designed for...
600 rooms?
Yes, currently. Now, they say that they have an ongoing expansion, and they aim to make Rock City one of Africa's largest or world's largest hotel resort, boasting of about 2,200 rooms, by the time they are done with the expansion. But currently, if you go on their website, they say they have about 600 rooms. By the time they're done with the expansion, Rock City will be boasting for about 2,200 rooms.
And they claim that they want to make this one of the largest hotels, not only in West Africa, but in Africa.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's Rock City there. That's the entity that the SNIT says emerged the best when they did the evaluation of the bids that have been submitted to take 60% stake in 4 hotels, including the Labadi Beach Hotel. What do you make of this tonight? As you just heard there, the workers are not only protesting, they've written directly to the presidency. They are asking that this arrangement be terminated, cancelled immediately. Although SNIT says they've already are currently negotiating with Rock City to take over those 60% shares that they currently hold in these 4 entities. I want to hear from you on Newsnight, which starts in a minute.
I send them, you get them. I get them, I send them. I get them, I pay them.
Telesale cash.
I get them, I pick them.
Telesale cash.
You get them.
I send them. Telesale cash.
I send them, you get them.
Telesale cash.
I get them.
I buy them. I take them.
I pay them. I send them.
Telesale cash. Telecel Cash.
Experience the ultimate convenience of sending money on Telecel Cash. Sending money from Telecel Cash to Telecel Cash is free. You can also make payments to merchants on all networks. Enjoy best value and total security with Telecel Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Is lights, camera, music. The stage is set, the stars are ready, and Ghana's biggest night is here. The 25th Telecel Ghana Music Awards Night happening live on Saturday, 1st June at the Grand Arena from 7 p.m. Be part of the extravaganza of rhythm, sheer talent, and high fashion, plus all the drama of who wins what. 170 nominees, 30 awards, plus 18 superstars, all performing live. You can't miss this. Book your tickets now. Starting for 500 Ghana cedis on star 713 star 33 star 25 hash, or call our hotline on 0501 288520. The 25th Telecel Ghana Music Awards, powered by Chatterhouse, supported by Guinness, Captain Morgan, Close Up, British Council, TV3, Joy FM, and sponsored by Telecel, connecting energies.
It's a summer celebration.
Hello, my name is Mami Akua, an entrepreneur and a mother of two. My work keeps me busy most of the time, and sometimes it takes me away from my family. But the safety and health of my family is very important to me. As a working mother, I cannot afford to take any chances when it comes to matters of health. That is why I signed up for a family healthcare plan from Equity Health Insurance. My family and I have access to over 700 hospitals, clinics, opticians, dentists, pharmacies, and diagnostic centers across the length and breadth of Ghana. With Equity Health Insurance, I no longer have to worry about medical bills. Anytime a member of my family visits a hospital, Equity Health Insurance has got my family and I covered. What about you? Who has got you covered?
Call Equity Health Insurance on 050-660-7910 and talk to them about your family health needs now. Visit equityhealthinsurance.com for more information. Equity Health Insurance, here for you.
Hello, Ghana. Are you tired of the same old political rhetoric? Do you believe it is time for a change that truly represents the voices of our youth, women, and children? I present to you Nana Kwame Bediako. He is a visionary leader with a passion for making our country better through innovative industrial revolution. Together, we can change the political narrative and create a government that truly represents the interest of all citizens. Join this journey to build a better and inclusive future for all by contributing to our Save Ghana Fund campaign. Your support, no matter the amount, is not just a donation. It is an investment in the shared desire for a more prosperous, equitable, and better nation. To donate, visit www.nkb.com.gh or dial *887*2024#. Thank you for your support.
Showtime, good life time. Paddy, how is your good life?
Hey, before you attack that sumptuous variety of foods with Toto, do yourself a favor.
Wash your hands with soap under running water. You pour before you eat, and at all other critical moments. That is,
before you cook, after you visit the toilet, change your baby's diaper,
and when you return home from anywhere.
Let's all come aboard Good Life by washing our hands with soap under running water and at all other critical moments to keep the germs away from our family. Good Life, live it well. It's an everyday thing. Good Life from Ghana Health Service and partners with support from USAID.
Live on Joy 99.7 FM, this is News Night. Tonight, special prosecutor vows to go after non-existent names on the payroll and uncover and end salaries as it emerges tonight that over 2.8 million cedis has been paid to ghost workers in a ghost primary school fictitiously created with ghost staff drawing salaries in the northern region. You want to stay for details of that. Also tonight, minority raise alarm about alleged illegal recruitment into security services, claiming government has given all NPP parliamentary candidates 30 slots each.
Notwithstanding the fact that the minority raised serious concerns about the criteria adopted by the NPP government to recruit personnel into the security services, it has persisted in taking additional steps in the last few days that
we have details of their warning to government to end the practice or plunge the country into chaos this general election.
We wish to remind His Excellency the President, President Akufo-Addo, and the Vice President Alhaji Bawumia that they will not have their way this time round, regardless of whatever maneuverings that they will roll out in the 2024 elections.
So what will the minority do about this? We'll have details of that. And political parties are up in arms against Ghana's Electoral Commission for the erroneous figures it keeps churning out in the ongoing limited voter registration exercise.
The greater worry is that it creates doubt about the capacity of the commission, about the integrity of the commission.
This situation exemplifies what we term transpositional rigging of elections.
We have details as it says it is working to introduce more rigorous methods to fix the recurring problem.
As a commission, we will not hide from our mistakes. What is more important is that why the mistakes happened and why they were not detected before publication.
In business, some oil marketing companies increased price of petroleum products at the pumps despite earlier forecast of reduction.
And as far as we hear from the head coach of Ghana under 17 Salai Kinson, who has promised a dominating performance from his boys in the final group game against Benin on Tuesday in the ongoing WAFU Championship.
And much later in the bulletin, we'll tell you the story of a 30-year-old woman living with bipolar disorder who was fired from her job after opening up about her condition to the boss.
I didn't understand why the other teachers were going through the same level of stress and pressure, but I was breaking down. I was called for a meeting and I was told that was my last day of work at the school and I was fired.
We bring you excerpts from Joy News' latest Hotline documentary, When the Mind Is Not. That and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. You may want to join us with your thoughts and your comments. It's via WhatsApp 055-1111-997. We are live on X Spaces. We're on Facebook. You can hit us with a hashtag Newsnight. I am Emefa Apau.
And my name is Evans Mensah. We start tonight from this latest report published by the auditor, published by the special prosecutor, an audit into the government payroll. The special prosecutor is tonight vowing to go after non-existent names on the government payroll and uncover unearned salaries. It is emerging tonight that over 2.8 million cedis has been paid to ghost workers in the northern region. And it includes a ghost primary school that has been fictitiously created with ghost staff drawing salaries from the government payroll in a particular part of the country. A statement from the OSP failed to name the exact school, but that school, in fact, it gives us a bit more of a detail. It is said the school that has been created doesn't exist, and the OSP says it's one of the most troubling findings that it is in the Kumbungu district. My colleague MF obviously has details of this. What more do we know from this?
Well, so the Office of the Special Prosecutor gives background to this particular, report, and it talks about the fact that it works in conjunction with the Controller and Accountants General Department to release its findings into the Government of Ghana Payroll Administration. So the investigation covered employees on the government payroll, note in the northern region alone. Earlier we had teachers come up to say that their salaries had been frozen by the OSP, but this particular report is centered on the northern region alone, and it goes on to talk about this fictitious school that we've been talking about in the Kumbungu district of the Ghana Education Service, and it uncovered that this particular school did not exist at all, yet this non-existent contrived entity was represented as staffed, and the purported staff were being validated monthly and being paid salaries. So a staggering amount of over 2.8 million cedis was identified as an earned monthly salaries attributed to individuals who were deceased, some retired, some no longer in their positions, flagged as missing, or whose whereabouts were unknown, commonly referred to as ghost names as we know it. And by blocking these payments and removing the corresponding individuals from the government payroll, the Republic saved over 34 million cedis for the 2024 financial year. Now, additionally, ongoing savings are expected for subsequent years, along with potential upward pay adjustment, thanks to the detection, it says, of these unearned salaries facilitated by the joint investigation of the OSP. So the OSP and the Controller and Accountant General, it says, are engaged in enhanced investigations into the educational institutions under the Ghana Education Service in the Northern Region and the Tamale Teaching Hospital, aimed at the prosecution of persons who promoted the non-existent school, validated deceased, untraceable and retired persons, and persons who have vacated their posts. So it goes on to say that subsequent phases of the investigation will extend to the 15 remaining regions. So it's not just the northern region that you're working on.
And there's more on this actually, because we get to know a bit more about this particular fictitious school. It is called the DA Primary School in the Kumbungu district of Ghana Education Service. Now, what he also found is that it was created as a functioning school under the District Assembly Primary School. So it was supposed to be run by the District Assembly, right? But it found that it, first of all, was not a school under GES. It didn't exist, and yet they had actually put in their teacher staff who were supposed to be in this school that didn't exist in the first place. So the teachers themselves were fictitious and were paying them. Now, linked to that, the special prosecutor also found that some head teachers and heads of units were also validating some persons whose whereabouts were unknown to them. So they didn't know where the teachers are, but the head teachers and the heads of the units were validating them. Now, the OSP actually goes on to say that some validators were validating persons who were to the knowledge of the validator. So this instance, they knew that the people were ghosts. They didn't exist. They knew that people were deceased. They knew they had retired or had vacated their post. They knew that, and yet they went ahead to validate them. How did they do this? They sampled high-risk number of 1,265 persons, they say, represented on the payroll. Now, the joint investigations and assessment cleared some 1,020 persons as regularly validated. Then the special prosecutor promptly unfroze the blocked salaries. Remember, that was one of the most controversial issues. The organized labor, particularly NAGRAT, had held a press conference and had threatened that they were going to call an industrial action and withdraw their services because the OSP had frozen some salaries. Now, the OSP says here that for the teachers that they validated, some 1,020 of them, they quickly unfroze and unblocked the salaries of these verified regular validated persons upon the timeous clearance by the joint team. And these persons have been restored on the payroll system. Now, that is what the OSP is saying as far as this very, very controversial matter is concerned. And I know the teachers were very, very unhappy at the time that this process started. And this, by the way, as MFIU said, is focusing only on the northern region for now.
And they say in the coming days they'll focus on the other 15 regions. But you mentioned the DA school there in Kumbungu. We've been trying to reach the district director of education for Kumbungu. I spoke to him myself, Mr. Suleimani Yaya, and mentioned that he will provide details later. Agreed that he will be speaking to us on Newsnight. But we are still working the lines to reach him on this to find out exactly how this validation was done for this fictitious school. But Martina Bugri is our regional correspondent. She's been trying to also find out more following the release of this report by the special prosecutor. Martina, since the release of this report, you've been trying to find out more. What have you been able to gather?
So we have several schools with a DA attack, and so it's been difficult to get. But one school that has semblance of the description given is the Kute DA Primary School. We are told that school was being operated under the Macaranta system, and so they were operating under a share. And then an NGO came to build some 4 classroom blocks for them. They moved in there, and then they later on built 2 more and an office for them. Government or the district assembly in Kent came in 2016 to absorb the school. And so this is the school that has some semblance of what has been described in the special prosecutor's document.
Well, but I'm sure there's been talk amongst teachers, among head teachers, regional directors that you've been finding out. What's the talk amongst them? What exactly have they been telling you?
It looks like most of the teachers do not really trust their head teachers. And so you have issues of teachers having problems with their head teachers. They are claiming that in instances that you try to find out what they are doing, they quickly get you transferred. And so they are not surprised that some head teachers are conniving with others to rape off government several millions of cedis.
That's our regional correspondent there, Martina Bugri, giving us updates on this particular situation. But thankfully, the president of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, Reverend Dr. Isaac Owusu, joins us with immediate reaction to this particular report. I bet you must be aware that the OSP was undertaking this exercise in the northern region. But are you surprised at the findings? 2.8 million cedis, a non-existent school.
Well, MFI, let me say a very good evening to your cherished listeners. And let me say that personally, I am not happy with the way and manner the OSP went about this finding. In as much as we know that the OSP outfit was established by statute and an act of parliament, you shouldn't forget that you are also to use due process in conducting whatever investigation you want to do. However, this OSP issue was one of the cases we sent to the Labour Commission. And at the Labour Commission, the chief employer, which is the Director General of Ghana Education Service, and the second minister, Honorable Dr. Osaya Odichum, the commissioner asked them whether they were aware of the activity OSP was embarking on. And they denied outright that they have no knowledge. Now, the Director General has representatives in all the 16 regions and in all the districts. You cannot just go to multimedia without looking for the CEO or the management, and you begin to block the salary of MFA.
But Mr. Dr. Isaac Owusu, really, it looks like you are playing the man and not the ball. Really, these are government institutions, state institutions, and if the OSP finds some rot of a sort in there, are you saying that he needs permission from teachers and directors before they can conduct such exercise? Is that what you're saying?
And here we are, he's giving you a name of a school. And in GES, we do not have any school called DA Primary. Every school...
Because it doesn't exist. It was created. It's fictitious, Dr. Isaac Owusu.
However, look, I've read the report. Now, there are certain schools that do not have management units. And those schools have been attached to the various education offices. So it is the district education office that validates schools with that management unit. And you should know that we still have some schools under trees. And every school has a unique name and a code. If OSP has taken pain to visit the directory after your investigation, if you have asked the director of Bungubu that I have seen school A, do you have it in your record? You didn't do any of it. We are not saying that you should go and seek permission. But look, this blockade of salary, it cuts across the country, including teachers on study leave. Innocent teachers. In the month of January and February, innocent teachers' salary were blocked. What kind of investigation is it? We shouldn't use the state institution to intimidate and threaten individuals. What kind of behavior is that?
Is it your understanding, Dr. Owusu, that this particular exercise, which was done in conjunction with the Controller and Accountant General's Department, was done on the blind side of GES and the various directors? Is it your understanding of the matter?
Not that my understanding. I know as a fact. Because the Minister of Education was asked. He said he has no knowledge about it. The Director General was asked. He said he has no knowledge about it. And the teacher's employer is not Controller. Neither is it OSP. So have you found out from the employer that you are paying people who do not exist? We cannot be living in a country like that.
Substantively, though, the findings, at least he's been able to save some money, and it appears that there's some ghost names in there. I'm sure that should be the main concern for you. At this point,
as I'm speaking to you, Temale Metropolis, there are still teachers whose salary has been blocked by this OSP. Temale Metro alone. We still have teachers whose salary has been blocked by this OSP. What money are you saying? There are things happening that we are expecting him to go there. You should leave the teachers alone. Is it because you think that they are many? You should take time and go to the DES and look at the difficulties that the teachers are in. I'm telling you, he's talking about validation. The controller itself gave the validators a directive that if a teacher is transferred from Joy FM to Asampa FM, you, the headmaster of Joy FM, validate the teacher for the next 3 months and make him a missing staff. After 3 months, the water Asampa FM headmaster will now validate the person as unknown until that new teacher gets a new management TV. So what are they talking about?
It does appear that you are jumping to the defense of these teachers when, in fact, there may be some
I am
rot
not
in the
jumping
system that
in
ought
any
to be
way.
uncovered.
I am not jumping in any way. I'm not saying that the teachers are saying. But if you use very intimidating approach to get what you want, then you will be mentioning schools that you don't even know. And I am surprised that the GES is very quiet on this. You are the employer, and you sit down for anybody to humiliate your workers. I said, Tamale Metro, send your reporters, Tamale Metro town. There are teachers whose salary have been blocked, and they are still at fault.
So essentially, you are disputing the findings of the OSP.
Their approach is not the best, and certainly it will affect the outcome.
Well, we'll leave it here. That's the Reverend Dr. Isaac Owusu. He's the president of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, and not their immediate reaction to the OSP's findings. That report that the OSP has just put out. That finding was done in conjunction with the Controller and Accountant General's Department. We've tried also reaching the Controller and Accountant General's Department for more on this particular issue, but we know that they are going to extend it to the other 15 regions. This is just for the northern region.
You're so live, your news night. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, the minority in Parliament, they are sounding the alarm bells tonight on the alleged illegal recruitment being secretly done into the security services by government. That's what they alleged tonight at the news conference. The minority leader, Dr. Kesela Tefoksing, at the news conference alleged that all MPP parliamentary candidates have been given 30 slots each to pick MPP supporters and foot soldiers to pack the security services, including the police and the army.
The minority raised serious concerns about the criteria adopted by the NPP government to recruit personnel into the security services. It has persisted in taking additional steps in the last few days that we have seen. The NDC minority can authoritatively state that not long ago, the NPP government again has illegally and fraudulently given out 30 slots to all MPP parliamentary candidates across the country for the recruitment into the security services, namely Ghana Police Service, 2, the Immigration Service, 3, the Fire Service, 4, the Ghana Army, 5, the Ghana Navy, and 6, the Ghana Air Force. 30 slots to each parliamentary candidate of the NPP. The recruitment of the NPP foot soldiers into the security services, especially in this election year, is a calculated attempt to compromise the elections, given that the loyalty of the new recruit in the event that they are deployed will be to the ruling MPP and not to the state, as it is required for all security personnel. The murder of the 8 innocent Ghanaians during the 2020 presidential elections and parliamentary elections by the NPP party hooligans, marked as security personnel, is still fresh on our minds. These needless deaths as a result of the infiltration of our security services by such NPP thugs and hoodlums who were recruited into the security services. The blood of those whose lives were unlawfully and violently taken by the NPP thugs is in security uniforms will continue to be in the hands of this government. Ladies and gentlemen, it is unacceptable that the government continues to put cheap partisan considerations ahead of the overall peace, security, and stability of our country in the run-up to the 2024 elections.
Well, the minority leader is also serving notice of the NPP packing the security agencies with the aim of creating chaos in the 2024 election. And he says it will be fiercely resisted as its members and supporters across the country will fight back.
We wish to remind His Excellency the President Akufo-Addo, and the Vice President Alhaji Bawumia that they will not have their way this time round, regardless of whatever maneuverings that they will roll out in the 2024 elections. We will resist these shenanigans with all our might and all our strength. Our members, our supporters and sympathizers will not just defend themselves against unlawful attacks by the NPP thugs in uniform. We shall hold these NPP hoodlums personally responsible for their unlawful violation of the laws of Ghana and the legitimate rights of our people. Ladies and gentlemen, it is in the interest of the NPP foot soldiers to act lawfully or face the full consequences of their actions and the wrath of our supporters. Just as the minority protested vehemently against the politicization of our security services through illegal recruitment in 2019, we once again demand that recruitment into all the security services be halted forthwith to allow for advertisement to be made with the qualification criteria duly spelled out for all to see. By so doing, we would have created equal opportunity for all Ghanaians who would then be selected on the basis of merit and not cheap partisanship and nepotistic consideration. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that this practice must stop.
And that is the minority leader, Dr. Kesela Tofo, saying my parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante, is with me on the line. Kweku, did they provide any evidence to back this claim?
Well, they did not, except to regurgitate the points that you heard the minority leader say. But they say that they have been gathering intelligence over the last few months, and certain key persons, even within the hierarchy of the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana Armed Forces, have been providing them this information that they believe are credible. But they are serving notice that if government does not stop this, when Parliament resumes in the next week or two, they are going to make the meeting of that Parliament about the election 2024, and they will ensure that that does not happen. Listen to James Agaga, his ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee.
Let me state that when the Honorable Ambrose Derry, the former Interior Minister, sought to counter our press conference by stating that the recruits had gone through the procedure, I mean, he wasn't being truthful, because at the time it was evident that no advertisements had been made as is required by the service regulations of all the security agencies, including the armed forces. So that point was well made. Fast forward to 2024, how many years is it now? We're talking about 2019. So if you argue that you are clearing a backlog, let me tell you something. When an advert is made for recruitment, age is very important. And so if it's the argument that they are clearing a backlog, what do you think would be the ages of those who applied in 2019? They'll be disqualified by now. You see, because if you exceed 25,
well, that is an interference there. Of course, this is your election headquarters, nonetheless. And that there you had was James Agaga, who is a ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee on the subject as we approach the elections. This is something that you become very used to. The allegations. We'll be interrogating for some evidence and some answers pretty shortly, but I want to bring in David Opoku and Science, the MP for Empire. So, as you've heard the allegation by the minority side that the MPs on the majority side have been giving 30 slots each on the police and the army. He joins us on the line. Mr. David Opoku, sir, have you been given 30 slots?
No, not at all, Ivan. Not at all, Ivan.
Apologies for that interference in the background there. David Opoku, if you can hear me, you're making a point. Apologies.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes, I'm saying that not at all. I've not been given 30 slots. I am a very active member of my caucus, and if such opportunities should be available, I'm sure that I'll be told. That,
how many, not 30 slots, how many slots have you been given?
I have not been given any slot as a member of parliament. And I'm saying in authority that as a member of parliament, I have not been given any such slot. And I'm surprised that this allegation or this statement is coming from Atofo, the leader of the House, the minority leader. Today, he had a very privileged opportunity to meet with the President of the Republic. And if I were him, I'd be bold enough, somebody who has oversight responsibility of the executive, to ask the President that I'm told, I'm picking signals, that you have given 30 slots to your members of parliament. Why did you do that if it is true? But if Atu could not do that, and he comes publicly to make this wild allegation. I mean, I think that it's being very unfortunate. It's an unfortunate statement for Atufor to make. It's quite unfortunate.
Well, let me find out briefly, though. I would want to find out from you that as an MP, since you became an MP, have you aided any of your constituents to be able to go into any of the security agencies?
Well, I have, and this is how I do it. At a point, the security agencies shifted from just an application where you go and buy forms to a more digital system. I think it was championed by the Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. And people have difficulties, for instance, in my constituency, going onto a portal and applying. So what I did was that in my constituency office, I made available some computers with people with knowledge and such applications, and they were assisting people to apply. So if you say that, if you ask me the question, if I have assisted people, yes, I have assisted them in filling the forms.
At the last count,
creating a platform. Yes.
At the last count, how many constituents have you been able to assist to get into these security agencies?
Well, so I really don't know the number. I cannot tell you that Evans or Messi or Joyce. All I do is that I create a platform for you. I give you the computer. Because you see, in my constituency, I have very remote areas. People from Intomem who do not have lights, who do not have good roads, who do not have network, so they don't have access to internet. So these young guys come to my office, they do the application. And if they get picked, it is none of my business. If they are not picked, it is none of my business. You do
no follow-up calls for them and use your position as a member of parliament on the ticket of the MPP.
Thing is digitalized.
To get them admitted into the service.
The selection process is digitalized. I mean, it is based on what you put in there, and the outcome of it is what you get.
So you've never benefited from the existing protocol list?
I have not. Since I became a member of parliament, I have not enjoyed any protocol list. In fact, I'll be very happy if I'm given a protocol list to give to my constituents. My children are less than 10 years. I'm not too sure I have any family member who wants to enter the police or the military. But I have not been given such an opportunity. The opportunity available is how Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, through his vision of digitalizing such platforms, has created one where every Ghanaian, irrespective of where you are able to apply. I mean, there's no meritocracy, there's no protocol. It is based on your competence, the information you put in there, your height, your health issues. That is what happens. So if Atu were doing it, I think that he was doing it whilst serving as deputy minister, and that is why for him he can create this illusion that MPP MPs have been given 30 slots. Well, I'm telling you on authority, no MPP MP has been given any 30 slots.
And you can speak for all 137 members on your side.
I am speaking for all 137 members. But you see, Evans, do you know the danger in what Atu is doing? In recent times, there's been instances where names of members of parliament have been used to create fake Facebook accounts in the name of recruitment. Putting such information out there, you are equipping these criminals to create more of such platforms and dupe innocent Ghanaians. Because the impression is being created by Atu that members of parliament belonging to the MPP side have been given 30 slots. And for me, it is a dangerous thing, and I think that Atu must come out and apologize to Ghanaians. He needs to apologize to Ghanaians. He needs to tell the young people of this country that the system that has been put in place cannot be manipulated, and that he, Atu, nor me, as member of parliament, do not have access to recruiting people onto the security system.
Well, thankfully, beside him to the other press conference was James Agaga, and James Agaga is the ranking on the Defense and Interior Committee in Parliament. Mr. Agaga, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. You made these allegations today, and from what my reports on the ground tell us, you provided no evidence to back that.
Thank you, Evan. Let me start by informing my colleague on the other side that it is a false statement to attribute the electronic recruitment system, which has been in place since the era of IGP Quay. And IGP Quay was at post when Professor Mills was president of this country. So, fact that the security agencies now recruit through a digitalized platform cannot be attributed to Dr. Baumia. So I'd want my colleague to correct himself moving forward. Evans, having said that, let me state categorically that the last budget statement, which was read on the floor of Parliament and approved, clearly made provision for recruitment into the security services, especially those under internal security. Now, the question to ask is, when budget clearance is sought and given for recruitment, what is the criteria that must be followed? The criteria that must be followed is that, one, an advertisement ought to be made in order to give equal access and opportunity to all those qualified to apply. Now, Evans, as we speak, after the budget was approved and allocation made for recruitment, this government has failed deliberately to cause to be made an advertisement to that effect.
Well, Mr. Agaga, your allegation was very specific, that members of parliament on the NPP side have been given 30 slots each to pick NPP supporters and foot soldiers to pack the security services. Where is the evidence to support that?
Yes. Oh, Evan, you want the evidence?
Yes, please.
You see, these are administrative matters. I will refer you to Section 7 of the Shraj Act. And that provision is very clear. Where a complaint is made or an allegation is made that certain attempts are being made by government to deny equal opportunity and access to the security service, it is for the matter to be investigated. So we have gathered intelligence. Remember that we are members of parliament.
But Mr. Agaga, is one thing not to follow the lay-down processes for recruitment, but it's a it's an entirely different subject for you to allege that 30 slots have been given to MPP MPs. That's a categorical allegation.
Open slots have been given, and we insist that let state agencies charged with the mandate to investigate the allegation and see whether they are not made up.
Without any shred of evidence. You are a lawyer. You know the concept of prima facie. You haven't even provided anything for us to go on.
Evans, we have evidence from members of parliament and parliamentary aspirants of the MPP
what's the nature of this evidence?
Roaming their constituencies and soliciting for names. Some of those who have been invited to furnish them with names are people known to us. And therefore, if an investigative machinery is set in motion, we can furnish them with some of those names. And that is why I have referred you to Section 7 of the Shraj Act. In any case,
today, you are in Parliament. You can ask for a parliamentary probe for this to happen, if you really have the evidence.
Well, in the press conference addressed by the minority leader, we stated categorically that the process be halted. First of all, there are moves to recruit, and I don't expect to be asked to furnish anybody with evidence that this government is preparing feverishly to recruit, even though they haven't advertised. That is a fact.
Well, that's not a fact. That right now, without evidence, is conjecture and an allegation. And Davis, you say that this is one thing that you deny categorically. It's not true. But you've heard the allegation. You're also a member of parliament. He says an investigation, if opened, they will come with the evidence. Are you prepared and willing to support such an investigation in parliament?
Of course. I mean, we are all prepared to support such because I've told you the danger. I mean, the national security threat to the press conference that was held today by the minority leader. I mean, people will be duped. Pressures will be mounted on members of parliament. I mean, with the impression that some slots, 30 slots have been given to them. But clearly, from what Adaga just said, they have no evidence. It is just pedestrian, just propaganda. And for me, it's aimed at courting some level of hatred for members of parliament belonging to the MPP side. That, for me, is the only reason somebody would put out this wicked lie aimed at destroying or tarnishing the images of members of parliament.
And that's Davis Opoku-Ansah, is the MP for Empire. So you also listen to James Agaga, is the MP for Bulsom North, is an MP, and the minority spokesperson on defense and interior.
Let's bring in George for the latest from the world of business. George, what do we have?
Well, hi, MFA. Coming up in business, some oil marketing companies increased prices of petroleum products at pumps despite earlier market data forecasting a reduction. And government promises to deal with the tax hike concerns of telcos as they vow to scale back on fresh investments because of these current concerns. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Sinter's Thanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
Can you hear it? The freedom in our songs, the sound of liberty that rings from Kaswa to Karaga, from Tamale to Takoradi. It's in the pestles that pound from coast to coast. It's in the busy offices, the crowded streets, and the noisy schools. It's in the wisdom of our elders and in the laughter of our children. It's in seeing how far we've come and looking at how much we can grow. It's in knowing that still Ghana go be. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Water is needed all day, all night. So remember Syntex tank all day, all night. 7 years warranty. Select any color for free. In no the crack, in no the spoil. Call Accra on 0244 335 168. Kumasi 0505 555 666. Syntex tank. A strong, a tough. Water is needed all day, all night. So remember Syntex tank all day, all night. 7 years warranty. Select any color for free. In no the crack, in no the spoil. Call Accra on 0244 335 168. Kumasi 0505 555 666. Syntex tank. A strong, a tough.
Choboy! We have a new leader
anywhere in town. Obiarentie. Amafo. Madam was Sibebre. When him say my baby, maybe more charcoal for whiter teeth. More charcoal. Not only that, maybe lemon. More lemon. Zinc for fresher breath. More zinc. And fluoride for stronger teeth.
Introducing the new President Charcoal pack with more power with a combination of charcoal and lemon for naturally whiter teeth. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello CEOs, the 8th Ghana CEO Summit and Expo is set to take place on May 27, 2024 at the Kempinski Hotel from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. Since 2016, the summit has led impactful business leadership. Renowned for satisfying CEOs' needs, it offers actionable perspectives, strategic insights, and business opportunities. This year's theme is reigniting business and economic growth, charting a path forward, economic diversification, and artificial intelligence transformation. The summit promises CEO business cases, high-level dialogues, masterclasses, keynotes, and plenaries. The event is also a platform for the Ghana CEO Excellence Awards, celebrating outstanding business leadership and innovation. Former distinguished guests include President Nana Akufo-Addo, Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, and ex-President John Mahama. Secure your spot at GhanaCEOSummit.com and contact 0546 391 970 for enquiries and sponsorship. Powered by the Ghana CEO Network in collaboration with Deloitte, PwC, Ministry of Public Enterprises, GIPC, and Multimedia Group. Terms and conditions apply.
December is just around the corner and our nation stands at a crossroads. Will we continue down the same path or will we forge a new one together? The choice is ours, but we need every voice to be heard. That is why the New Force is investing time and resources to educate and encourage everyone about the voters ID card registration. To all of you out there unsure if your vote matters, your voice matters. Your vote is your power and your opportunity to shape the future of our motherland. Don't let others decide for you. Don't stay silent. Get up, get out there, and get your voter's ID card today. Make sure you are ready to make a difference when the time comes. Don't delay. Act now. From the 7th to the 27th of May, and on the 30th of May, you can replace all missing ID cards. Every vote counts. Your vote, your destiny. A message from Nana Kwame Bediako and the New Force.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, some oil marketing companies have increased prices of petroleum products at the pumps. Now, this is despite earlier prediction of prices going down for the next 2 weeks. We have details in this report.
Goil took the lead, selling a litre of petrol at 14 cedis, 55 pesos from the old price of 14 cedis, 40 pesos. Diesel, on the other hand, is going for 14 cedis, 70 pesos, compared to the old price of 14 cedis, 65 pesos. It is not clear what influenced Goil's decision to increase their prices, especially when industry data showed that prices should have rather gone down for the next 2 weeks. However, most of the oil marketing companies decided to leave the price unchanged since last Thursday because of the cedi's depreciation. Another major player in the industry, Allied, has also told Joy Business they will also review their prices upwards, but will still be below the 14 cedis market. Some of the oil marketing companies have maintained that they need to find some innovative ways to minimize the impact of the cedi's depreciation on their operations going forward. The performance of the Ghana cedi and how the various finished petroleum products are selling on the international market have been a major factor in determining the fuel prices at the pumps on the local market. The latest round of increases by some of the major oil marketing companies may feed into rising cost of living and doing business in the country.
And that is the Business Desk report. In a related development, the Association of Oil Marketing Companies say the city's performance has been a major factor influencing these price hikes. Dr. Riverson Upon is chief executive of the association.
That we all know that the forest price at today, we've seen an increase from 12 to 13 to 14, and some are even still at 15 today. And that in a way also affects the pump price. I've heard people mention that it's because of the pricing mechanism or the floor price that MPA, I would say, implemented early this month. That is causing the increase in the pump price. That is not the case. But if you have a flat price moving from 753 to 940, it should tell you that indeed that also affects the delivered cost of the product. And also with the impact in the forex and depreciation of the cedi would also affect the product. Remember, we buy the product in dollars and not in cedis.
Dr. Riverson upon is chief executive of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies. Meanwhile, there are fears that the death of the Iranian president may push prices of crude oil up in the coming days. A barrel of crude oil is going for $83.71 on the market this evening. Now, government has given the firm assurance that it is taking steps to deal with the high tax concerns of telcos. Now, some of these telecom operators have warned that they could rather scale back fresh investment in the sector because of these high tax level. Eslo, who is Minister for Communications and Station, has been talking about some measures to deal with these concerns of the telcos, including improving their revenue.
Government is investing in putting in the infrastructure and is working with the operators to leverage that infrastructure to provide their services. We've all stated that government alone can't do it. The private sector alone won't do it. There has to be partnerships. So those are conversations that we need to have so that it reduces the burden on the network operators who are in country, who are building those networks, on the backs of which these big tech companies are delivering their service.
Estela Owusu is Minister for Communications and Digitalization. Let's talk about banking because the Managing Director of First Bank Ghana, Victor Asante, is downplaying predictions that more banks could be downsizing operations and moving out of the country. It follows an announcement by State General that it is working to review its operations in the country. Mr. Asante said the situation is not as bad as is being reported in some quarters.
The challenges banks face have not changed there. So it's not like we have a situation where right now there's a different challenge. Sometimes it's the severity or the timing and all of that. So everything that we are doing has happened before. Banking is about risk return. So yes, a lot of banks are always appraising their return based on their risk appetite. So it's different for every bank. Some banks may decide that the risk versus the return is no more worth it, and therefore it's time to go somewhere else because maybe it's also about alternatives. So yes, banks may be struggling, yes, banks may be having issues around the DEP, but the decision around leaving or not leaving is not taken lightly at all. And I don't think there's going to be a rush out of the door at all. I don't think so.
Victor Asante is the Managing Director of First Bank Ghana. If you should turn your attention to the stock market, if you had invested from the beginning of the year to now, you've made over 19% return on the market. And that's all for the business report on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans and MFA.
Thank you very much, George. And Ms. Bao is here with sports.
Yeah, Evans, well, the Under-17 Wafu B Championship continues tomorrow with Ghana back in action against Benin, and they'll be looking to advance to the semi-finals with an unblemished record following their 5-0 thrashing of Cote d'Ivoire in their opening game. Now, despite this resounding victory, head coach Lai Kinson was not particularly impressed with the team's performance, citing the team's struggle to maintain possession and dominate the game. This he has vowed to address in their second game tomorrow.
Most of my boys, first time playing such competition, home soil, I felt they were a little bit jittery. So with that, we have to manage and then try to take something out and then try and do our best. Sometimes we try to play 1, 2, 3 passes, but for me, as a technical person, I'm not satisfied with the way we play. We did not dominate play today. We just got the results, but hey, up and coming games, this is our style, and you will see it in the way we play.
At the University of Ghana Stadium, the Black Starlights will be in action. Well, Mohamed Kudus, on the other hand, had a relatively impressive first season in the English Premier League with West Ham. Well, he scored 8 goals and assisted 6 times in the Premier League, and in all competitions scored 18 and made 7 assists. Well, he spoke about his first season at the club and in the Premier League, and he says this is just the beginning.
100%, like I said, big credit to the manager. He has done a fantastic job this season. Long season, difficult time, but ups and downs, but I give credit to all the teammates. Everyone was on top of their season. Even the guys who are not playing more, playing less, even the guys on the bench. We are all together, and then there's a lot of respect and then energy from everyone else. So big credit to the whole team. But this is just the beginning. I've tested the waters now, and then I'm ready to get it running for the next season.
Yeah, Mohamed Kudus there, scored a stunning goal against Manchester City on the weekend there. And that's it we have for you in sports. The only remaining game is Manchester United versus Manchester City and the FA Cup and events. Hopefully you can avoid a trophyless season with that.
Sometimes it's the hope that hurts more. So I don't want to hope. I just know that we are ending trophyless just like Arsenal. It's okay. It's a live on News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, Asinam Abradra is a 30-year-old living with bipolar disorder. Now, landing her first job soon after national service gave her some level of reassurance and a promising career. However, the stress and demands of the teaching job began to take a toll on her condition. Asinam decided to confide in the school authorities after her condition. In less than 24 hours, she was fired. Asinam's story highlights the harsh reality many face when living with mental illness. Enjoy News' latest Hotline documentary, When the Mind Is Not, produced by Emmanuel Jibenu. He highlights the problem. Here's an excerpt.
The impact of stigmatizing persons living with mental disorders can be significant and far-reaching.
First time I was stigmatized, I was fired from my job. This was my first job after national service. I was teaching at a school and I was really under a lot of stress. So I wasn't getting enough sleep. I was commuting to work every day. It was also a very toxic and stressful environment to be working in. I cried, I was hurt. It's because I didn't understand why all the other teachers were going through the same level of stress and pressure, but I was breaking down. Less than 24 hours, she told all the members of management. I was called for a meeting and I was told that was my last day of work at the school and I was fired.
You want to listen to the entire documentary? It's on the Joy News channel at 8:30 p.m. FR Power. It's hitting you hard, huh?
Yes,
it's
really
a touching
hard.
story. You need to watch it and feel it for yourself. It's also across our social media platforms. It was on the Super Morning Show this morning. Catch it at 8:30 p.m. tonight on the Joy News channel.
Would you want to go to Paga?
Oh, yeah, I have to.
You've been there?
No, I
never.
actually was very close, but I didn't muster the courage to get close to the crocodile.
Okay, so it means that you've not touched the crocodile
No,
before.
not yet.
So we'll do that when we go to Paga because Max Solopodba has been there already, and we are told that the death of a crocodile is believed to signify the impending death of a community member. He has more in this report.
I never imagined touching a crocodile, but the tales of their friendliness in Paga Upper East region intrigued me. I touched one of the largest crocodiles there, and it felt like the longest minute of my life. Our guide, Mahama Isa, explained that over 100 crocodiles live in the Paga Crocodile Pond, where even children swim without harm.
So when you kill a crocodile, that means you have taken somebody's life. So during that time, by then there was no law and order. So when you kill crocodile intentionally, they can even kill the community. But now there's law and order, you can't kill someone. The law says if you kill it intentionally, you can even be banished from the community. So sometimes they move out of the water and go into the town. They lay eggs in front of our houses. They dig and bury the eggs and come back into the waters. And in the water like this, there are over 200 inside, roughly. There are over 200 crocodiles here. But children go inside and swim. The fish is.
Mahama Isa shared the story about how an ancestor who, during a chieftaincy dispute, encountered a river he couldn't cross until a benevolent crocodile helped him.
So Nave saw a crocodile in that water, believed that this should be the spirit of their ancestors who turned into the crocodile to come and rescue him. So when he approached to the crocodile moved closer and he sat on the crocodile and crossed the water. So from there, he took a vow that on the rest of his life, he will never kill a crocodile or eat its flesh. So when he moved down here, he came and found this community.
This bond between the people and the crocodiles is so strong that the death of a crocodile is believed to signify the death of a community member.
Not quite long, he found crocodiles closer to him in this land. So he believed that really that's the spirit of their ancestors who followed him from where he moved to this place. So he swore to everybody that whoever that is coming to settle with him, or if you are from his family, you have to taboo killing a crocodile. So as times go on, they realize that one crocodile died in the water, somebody also died in the community. So through consultation, they were told that they now represent the source of the people of the land.
And that will be a journey to the crocodiles.
Yeah. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of Newsnight. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Nanansa Kwaw is up next with That's My Opinion. I am Emma Fapau.
And my name is Evans Mensa.